Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Just to let you know, we do have an Instagram now. It's called Book Life Reads, so don't forget to go check it out. And it'll have the books that we've previously read and the upcoming books and maybe some polls on what you want to listen to be read. In Search of April Raintree, Chapter 7. I walked into the house, which now seemed so empty, so cold. I decided I would pack up all of Cheryl's things away in a big trunk, even her clothes. That way I'd always have a part of her, and being able to touch her belongings would strengthen my feeling. I opened the door to Cheryl's room, and the first thing I noticed was that empty whiskey bottle. I hadn't noticed it before when I'd gone into her room, but there it stood on Cheryl's dresser, mocking me. Suddenly, I was filled with a deep hatred of what I had once contained. I grabbed it by the neck, raised it high, and brought it down and smashed it against the edge of the dresser. Again and again, I brought it down until it was smashed into a million pieces. I was screaming, "I hate you, I hate you, I hate you." My tears came flooding out, and I continued screaming, "I hate you for what you've done to my sister. I hate you for what you've done to my parents. I hate you for what you've done to my people." I threw myself on Cheryl's bed, letting all my pent-up tears pour out. I pounded my fists into the bed, allowing my emotions to tumble out. I felt a frenzied rage at how alcohol had torn our lives apart, had torn apart the lives of our people. I felt angry for having done so many wrong things at so many wrong times, and I felt self-pity because I would no longer have Cheryl with me. "Oh, Cheryl, why did you have to go and kill yourself? All those people at that funeral, they loved you so much. Didn't that count? I loved you so much. Didn't that count? Didn't it matter to you? You had so much going for you. You didn't have to kill yourself. Cheryl, why? Why?" I writhed on the bed as if I was in physical pain. I was. At times I would become still, but not for long. Stronger emotions would come crashing down on me, and I would toss and turn again, trying to exorcise the painful anguish from within. I pounded my fists into the bed again and again in frustration. If only. Those words repeated themselves over and over in my head, but it was too late. Cheryl's death was final. When I had spent the last of my tears, I sat on the edge of the bed and surveyed the mess I had made in the room. The floor had scattered fragments of the whiskey bottle all over it. Cheryl's pillow was soaked with my tears. I looked again at the floor. If only I could smash the problem of alcoholism as easily I had that bottle. Temporarily avoid all the motion. I systematically began to clean the room. I put the Kleenex tissues into the garbage container. I began picking up the larger pieces of glass. I grabbed one piece a little too savagely, and I cut my hand. I looked at the blood oozing out in a thin red line. "Still, after more blood, are you? Well, you cut down my sister, my parents, my people, but no more. I'll see to it, somehow, some way." When I had finished cleaning Cheryl's room, I sat down against Cheryl's bed. I wondered where to start packing, not wanting to start. Then I remembered all of Cheryl's papers, the journal she had kept. There were 2 boxes under her bed, and I began going through them. The first was full of newspaper clippings, but I wanted her journals. They were in the other box. I began looking through them. The last entry she had was made in January 1972. That was the month I had been raped. I looked for a 1970 journal. It was this one that I was most interested in because that was when I had first lost touch with Cheryl. The entries of January indicated she had started the search for our parents. February had occasional references to her continued search. There was more in March. I see more of what April sees: broken people with broken houses and broken furniture. The ones I see on Main Street, the ones I give to our public image. The one I see puking all over public sidewalks, battling it out with each other. Their blood smearing up city-owned property. Women selling what's left of themselves for a cheap bottle of wine. No wonder April ran. She was horrified. That was all her legacy. She disowned it. And now she's trapped in that life of glitter and tinsel, still going nowhere. Charitable organizations. What a load of crap. Surrounded by a lot of people, business-wise but empty, just like a Main Street bums. The more I see of these streets, the more I wonder if April isn't right. Just maybe. Better to live that empty life than live out on the streets. What if I do find our parents? Sometimes I can't help it. I feel like April does. I despise these people, these gutter creatures. They are losers, but there is no reason why they are that way. Everything they once had has been taken from them. And the white has helped create the image of parasitic natives. But sometimes I do wonder if these people don't accept defeat too easily. Like a dog with his tail between his legs and his back, his throat forever exposed. Happy birthday, April. What do you give the person who has everything? I can give peace of mind with a few lies. May 1970. Struck pay dirt with a new address on Austin. The place is rented by a woman named Josie Pohikatis. I knock on the door and is opened by a little bent old woman who is stoned out of her mind, but happy as hell. I figure it out now. It's better to see these people at certain times of the day. You have to be late enough so they can start getting over last night's drunk and early enough so they're not whacked out of it yet. I asked if she knows Henry or Alice Raintree. Henry. Henry Raintree, she says in a French typical accent. Yes, I am his daughter, and I've been looking for him, I say, in a pleasant voice. What else can I say? Ah, yeah, mais oui. We're good friends, you know. Come in, here, sit down, here. He comes to our place when the snows are gone. He goes north for winters. He is welcome here. He stays. Sometimes we have big party. Sometimes we have big fight. Then he goes. But he always comes back. Henry does. He will come back. He will come back in a couple of weeks. You will see. He will be here then. I'm tickled a deeper shade of brown, you might say. I tell the toothless woman with her toothless smile that I will be back. June 1970. I knock at this door again, having been here a few times with no luck and expecting none this time. Ah, Cheryl, it's you again. Come in, come in. Her face lights up into a big grin, still toothless. Henry, come out here and see the surprise that is here for you. Hurry up, Henry. Her voice is high-pitched and squeaky. An old gray-haired man comes walking out of the kitchen. He is trying to keep his balance, curiosity piercing through his drunken haze. I assume that Josie has told him about me, but still, it's a few minutes before he realizes it's me. My smile disappears, but a smile slowly appears on his leathery, unshaven face. No, it can't be. Not my little daughter. Cheryl, my little baby, you're all grown up now? He chuckles and staggers a little closer to me. He makes a visible effort to draw himself up, but he has drunk too much already, and the feat is beyond him. His clothes are worn, dirty, and disheveled. Tears of happiness and perhaps awakened guilt pour from his watery eyes. The woman, Josie, is beaming with pride as if this joyful reunion were all her doing. It's like a miracle! It's like a miracle! She cackles over and over again, watching father and daughter facing each other. I am rooted to the very spot, absorbing the true picture of my father. I make no effort to move towards him. This goes unnoticed, and the old man approaches me. I cannot believe we were standing here, face to face, at long last. A decrepit old man says. I stand quietly, hiding the horror which is boiling inside of me. I hadn't known what to expect, but it wasn't this. This bent, wasted human form in front of me. My father. I am horrified and repulsed by him, by the cackling, prune-faced woman, by the others who have crawled out of the kitchen to watch all this happiness, all of them with stupid grins on their face, by the surrounding decay, by the hopelessness. The cancer from the house I've been to has spread into this house too, to destroy. All my dreams to rebuild the spirit of a once proud nation are destroyed in this instant. I studied the pitiful creature in front of me, my father, a gutter creature. The imagination of my childhood has played a horrible, rotten trick on me all these years, until the very moment I envisioned him as a tall, straight, handsome man. In the olden days, he would have been a warrior if he had been all Indian. I had made something out of him that he wasn't, never was. Now, I just want to turn and run away, pretend this isn't happening, that I never laid eyes on him, pretend I was an orphan. I should have listened to April. Awkwardly, he hugs me. I smell the foul stink of liquor on him. Hell, he probably sweats liquor out of his pores. I close my eyes and so no one will see what's in them. I hold my breath against the gutter smell. Seems like ages before he releases me. When he does, he turns to the others and says, "Don't just stand there, bring her a drink. Now we have something to celebrate. I found my little girl after all these years. Tell me, Cheryl, where's your sister? Where's April? I missed you both so much. Ah, here we are." He hands me a beer and wipes his tears and runny nose on his sleeve of his shirt. I don't answer, I just think, April is far away from you and she'll never know what you are, you gutter creature. Gratefully, I swallow some beer, disgust, hatred, shame. Yes, for the first time in my life, I feel shame. How do I describe this feeling? I swallow more beer. I stay for the rest of the day, in spite of my desire to flee. I stay because I want to know about Mom, but I want Dad sober when I ask him about Mom. Funny, I can still refer to him as Dad. I drink away the hours and pass the dizzy, nauseous sensations, laughing stupidly with them. Josie puts me to bed, just in time on the battered couch in the living room. Next morning, I waited patiently for Dad to get up. It is almost noon. He comes into the kitchen. He looked in rough shape last night, but now he looks worse, with his weak, flubby arms showing because he's in torn grayish undershirt. His dark-colored baggy pants are held up by suspenders that are frayed to the breaking point and all twisted. I get coffee for Dad. Josie is busy puttering around the kitchen. No one talks, and only noises come from Dad slurping his and the only noises coming from Dad are his slurping coffee. And finally, I ask him, "Dad, could we talk?" Sounds like I'm shouting. I lower my voice. "I want to know about Mom. How is she? Do you see her?" Dad makes a gesture as if he doesn't want to talk about her right now, but I persist. "Please, Dad, tell me about Mom. Where is she?" Tears come to my eyes again. He says simply, "She died last July." Died? Mom died? I ask, not believing. I then figure out that Mom was in poor health when we were kids, and that's why she died. I wish I could have seen her. Poor, dear mother. Maybe that's why Dad turned to booze. He misses her so much he can't live without her. I can forgive that. Retract all the bad thoughts about him. But Dad speaks again. "I may as well tell you everything." He sighs and lapses into another long silence. I try to make it shorter by telling him to continue. "Tell me what, Dad?" "Your mother took her own life. She killed herself," he says at last. "She left a letter for me, but I had gone up north early that year. I have a nephew in Dauphin. I stop in there sometimes. They sent the letter there. She jumped off the Louis Bridge last July. I took the letter to the RCMB and they checked with the Winnipeg police. They had found a body and everything matched your mama. She was not happy with her life. When she had lost you girls and Anna died, she knew she would never get you girls back again. Those visits were the hardest on her, so she stopped going. She tried to kill herself before, once, a long time ago." I digest what he says. Too hard on her? What about April and me? In those foster homes? Okay, only one was real bad, and April suffered most of that one. But I suffered for April. The other ones, those people weren't our flesh and blood. They weren't even our race. I remember now. Those promises you made us, promises we believed, all the waiting for you to take us back home, all the loyalty we gave you, all for nothing. Who's Anna? I'm angry, but I don't want to fight. I want information. Dad looks at me surprised. "You don't know about Anna?" "Of course not. You were just a baby yourself when she died. April must remember her. Maybe not. She was just little too. And Anna wasn't with us very long. She was your baby sister, but she was a sick baby. They would have kept her in the hospital longer, but no. They sent her home too early and she died. They blamed your mother and me. That was their excuse for taking you girls away from us. No, my girl, your mama was not a happy woman." "Why didn't you come to see us when we were kids?" I asked in a soft voice, afraid of an honest answer. There is another long pause. "I went up north for a long time. I was never here to visit you again," he says, as if that's a good enough reason. "No, your mama did not want you girls to see the way she was. She was too ashamed. She couldn't face you again. They shouldn't have taken you away from us. The baby was just sick, that's all." Dad drifts off in silence again. Dad asks me to come back and see him tomorrow. I say I will. I do. Josie says Dad left that morning to see some friends of his for a few days. Here I thought he would be patiently waiting for me. Ha! What a joke. I sat back on the bed with the journal clutched to me. This was the second mention of Anna. I'd been thinking of Anna after Cheryl had told me about her, baby Anna. I remember that's what I had called her. Recollections of my mother rocking a baby had come back, much clearer. I'd always had vague pictures in mind, but I'd never realized the baby was our own sister, baby Anna. She'd been with us for just a fraction of our lives, but she was sick and had to go to the hospital. And now, here in Cheryl's journal were Dad's words saying the same thing. Baby Anna, such a small part of our lives, yet she had changed our lives the most. Was exactly how Cheryl felt when she found Dad. After all that he told her, she still went back to him the next day. She was still loyal to him. She was how but how was it she had the natural family instinct? I had instincts only for self-preservation, pushing anyone away from me who might hurt me. I was a loner. Only lately had I let Roger in, then Nancy and her mother, hugging me that night, giving me all that they had left for Cheryl. Before Roger, who else besides? Cheryl had hugged me and meant it. Well, maybe Mrs. Dion. I remember wishing many times that I could be as affectionate as Cheryl. That meeting with Dad, maybe it destroyed her self-image. Funny though, since she had seen that side of native life before, I wonder what sort of image she had built up about our parents. What is that image of long ago that she sustained her life, sustained her, given her hope? February 18th, 1971. So, a son is born to me. I should have been a very special day for him, a day when his aunt, his grandparents, and all his relatives rejoiced. Instead, it was just him and me. What's that joke I read? If Dad had known what was going to be in store for him, he would have cried a whole lot louder. February 22nd, 1971. Having pondered over what to call you, my sweet child, I've decided on Henry Liberty Raintree. May you grow up to call your grandfather is not. March 10th, 1971. Nance is babysitting and I'm free for a while. Feels great to be let out. Henry Lee's been a cranky lately. Hell, we've got to move out because kids aren't allowed. Landlord's just a prejudiced bastard. I thought Henry Lee would change my life for the better, but I can see I thought wrong. Must say, I do feel good about this place. Don't think Nance will mind my coming home late. She'll understand. April 8th, 1971. Sure, I'm glad Nancy's mom is letting Henry Lee stay at her place. I'm not so tied down anymore. She sure gives him a good mothering. I don't think motherhood was meant for me. I'd rather be out partying than sitting at home changing dirty diapers. June 1971. Nancy's mother is keeping Henry for me for good. Do I feel guilty? Only when I'm sober, and I try very hard to see that doesn't happen. I give her money all the time, so I'm sure she doesn't mind. Wish I had a mother like that. October 1971. Today, Dad says he doesn't know where he is going to stay because he can't pay his rent. I know what he wants, so I give him $40. His eyes bulge. Usually I only give him 10 or 20. At DeCarlo's with Nance, the gang is all here too. Already we got suckers to pay for our drinks. It's cheap coming here. I give my money to Dad so he can get tanked, and I come here and get mine free. I have to laugh at dumb jokes, let these guys run their hands up my legs. They think they're going to get more later, but I can avoid that. Mark DeSoto. Now, if all these guys were like Mark. But they're not. Nat says Mark's old lady Sylvia is going to have it in for me if I hang around with Mark. He's over there at another table. He comes to say hello. I ignore him. He was supposed to call during the weekend and didn't. The suckers at my table are really playing up to me tonight. I'm going to go to the John. I'm walking back to my table and I hear this shrill voice. Hey, squaw. I don't share my man with no one. You hear me, bitch? Especially no squaw. Sylvia comes into my path and stops. I stop. I look her in the eyes. If I'm a squaw, honey, what's Mark? He's as much of an Indian as I am. I feel ridiculous and powerful at the same time. I know what I'm capable of. I give her my coldest stare. I know I've won this round. She can't match my gaze. The blonde bombshell jabs a finger into my shoulder, telling me what she's going to do to me. I twist around slightly and bring my fist into the side of her face. Not real hard, but hard enough to back her off. The numb broad trips over a chair and sprawls on the floor. Everyone laughs, hoping for a fight. I step over her and continue on my way. You're going to pay for this, Cheryl Raintree? Yeah? Well, you better give it your best shot, Sylvia. Mark struts over to my table. My precious companions scatter. He sits down and grins. So you're my prize, I say to him sarcastically. But the evening ends with Mark in my bed. Mark moves in. Nancy moves out. Landlord requests that we remove ourselves after the first party. I find a cheap place on Elgin. November 1971. I'm working. Mark is working the streets. We're always broke. I sell the furniture except the typewriter. I wonder why April gave it to me. She's the one with the writing talent. I give it to Nance for safekeeping so Mark won't sell it. We're stone broke. Mark owes everyone so we can't hit anyone up for a loan. Mark says to me, you know that guy who comes to Neptune's and he always looks the chicks over? Well, he's loaded and sometimes I sit and talk to him. I know who you mean. What about him? You're going to borrow some money from him? He never lends money, but sometimes he sees a chick he likes and asks me if I can arrange a meeting. So, I go to her, and if she's interested, we share the money he pays. See? You mean you're some kind of pimp? Not a pimp, Cheryl. I just do two people a favor and I get some money out of it. We need money, you know? Bad, and I know he's got the hots for you. I just thought you might consider it. Just this once. You're asking me to go to bed with another man? Well, it's not like there's any feelings between you. Just think of it as a business transaction. I told him you are a very special girl and he's willing to pay more for you. Come on, Cheryl. 1 hour's work and you can make $50. I'll try to get more. Forget it. I'm bloody mad. I'm not no fucking prostitute. I storm out of the house. A week later, we're still broke. I'm drinking at Neptune's. I'm almost drunk. Mark comes over. This sucker who's been buying me drinks leaves quickly. Funny the power Mark has. Cheryl, please, we gotta get some money. The landlord said today he'd give us another 24 hours and no more. Is he kinky? I'm just dirt. Who cares if he's kinky? Later, I'm back at Neptune's. I have a drink. Another one. My parents deserted me. April has left me. Mark is a no goddamn good fucking son of a bitch. I have another drink and another one. Let Mark use me. I don't care. Let April sit in her fancy white palace. I just don't give a damn. January 1972. I'm an old pro now. I'm working the streets full time. I avoid the pigs by picking Johns that are obviously not pigs. Well, pigs in another way. Mark arranges a lot of meetings too. I've gotten into other things I bet Mrs. Semple never even heard of in her old syndrome speech. I'm still broke. First thing when I see Dad, he says, Cheryl, I need a 20 for groceries. I don't have any. He goes into a rage. What do you mean you don't have any? You got enough to go drinking, but you can't spare your poor pa any? Did that bum you're shacked up with tell you not to give me any more? You're just as bad as your old lady was. You know that? A lazy no good for nothing. Running around all the time living with bums. I need some money. I need groceries and I got to pay the rent. Now I got nothing just 'cause you couldn't hang on to a simple job. I tell him he's worse. I swear at him. I tell him what I think of him and he's a parasite, a gutter creature. I tell him it's his fault Mom killed herself. The tears spring to his eyes. I leave him. I left him stew in his guilt. I sure as hell stew in mine. At home, Mark comes in. I'm angry and still brooding. Mark is angry. I'm supposed to be at Neptune's. We need money real bad. He yells. I yell. He beats me. I'm used to it. He avoids hitting my face. He has learned it's not good for business. He leaves. I walk along Main Street. This is where I belong. With the other gutter creatures. I'm my father's daughter. My body aches. I enter a hotel. I don't know which one. The word beverage is all I see. I need a drink. A couple of drinks. The depression is bitterly deep. The booze doesn't help this time. I'm back on the street. I'm drunk. I want to run in front of a car. The guy who is buying my drinks comes with me. What a creep. We head to my place on Elgin. We take a shortcut down a lane. The creep wants to fondle me and kiss me. He can't wait. Back off, you ugly old man. I'm no whore, you know. I don't know why I say that, but I repeat it. I can scarcely keep my balance. It's like there's two of me. One watching, one doing. I want to kiss you. I know what you are, so don't pretend with me. I paid for you. You stink. Leave me alone, you filthy pig. I slur the words. He gives me a push. I slam into the wall and fall into a sitting position. My legs have given out. I close my eyes. I like the sensation of everything spinning around at full speed. I open my eyes. I smile dumbly up at the man. He slams his fist into my face. I wake up. I'm lying on the sidewalk. My legs are sprawled out in front of me. I notice the garbage cans and garbage bags on either side of me. Hello there, I say to them. I've come home at long last. I chuckle to myself. I think in the morning the garbage man will take us all away, me and my friends. I giggle. I try to get up. I can't, so I stay put. Every once in a while I chuckle to myself. I hum a tuneless song. I wake up. April is holding my hand. I can't see her, but it's April. I squeeze her hand. I felt anger and bewilderment. Not at Cheryl or anyone else. Mostly, I guess, the anger was for me, for being the way I was, because it had caused Cheryl to feel so alienated from me that she couldn't share the most important event in her life with me, Cheryl's baby, Henry Liberty Raintree. Then I smiled. A part of Cheryl still lived. I looked at my watch and sighed. It was 4 a.m. I'd have to wait until morning. I paced around the room and finally returned to the journals. I put them back in the box and set them on the floor. Then I laid on Cheryl's bed, on top of the covers, still fully clothed, with my hands under my head. I stared up at the ceiling and the clock downstairs was abnormally loud and so slow. A few hours more and I would be on my way to Nancy's place to Henry Lee. For the moment I thought of Cheryl, the memories of her voice, the memory of her reciting her powerful message at the powwow. Why, oh why didn't she talk to me? Why couldn't we have talked to each other? And would it have helped? At times I was overwhelmed with memories of her, and tears would trickle down the sides of my face. The next morning I woke up, dismayed that I had fallen asleep. Then I was dismayed to find it was still too early to go to Nancy's. The sun, a golden-orange ball of fire, was just beginning to rise. I went downstairs to make coffee and freshen up. My eyes felt swollen. Again, the house seemed so empty, cold, lifeless. With my cup of coffee in hand, I opened the front door and stood looking out at the still empty street. The birds were just beginning to sing, their morning praises to their creator. It had rained during the night. Everything was wet. The smell of wet earth was invigorating, so clean. I stood there breathing deeply when I noticed there was a letter in the mailbox. I thought of leaving it for the moment, but I didn't. The moment I saw it was Cheryl's handwriting, my heart started to pound. I tore it open and sat down, heedless of the damp step. Dear April, by the time you get this, I will have done what I had to do. I have said goodbye to my son, Henry Liberty. I couldn't bring myself to tell you about him before. Now I know you will do what is right where he is concerned. I also know that Mary and Nancy will do as you wish. They're taking care of Henry Lee. All my life I wanted for us to be a real family together. Normal. I couldn't even mother my own baby. Do not feel sorrow or guilt over my death. Man thinks he can control nature. Man is wrong. The Great Spirit has made nature stronger than man by putting into each of us a part of nature. We all have the instinct to survive. If that instinct is gone, then we die. April, there should be at least a little joy in living. And when there is no joy, then we become the living dead. And I can't live this living death any longer. To drink myself to sleep day in and day out. April, you have strength. Dream my dreams for me. Make them come true for me. Be proud of what you are, of what you and Henry Lee are. I belong with our mother. Love to you and Henry Lee. Cheryl. An hour later, I was at Nancy's place once again. She opened the door for me as if she had been expecting me right at that particular moment. I followed her down the hall to the kitchen. Sitting at the table was a small boy eating some cereal. She looked up at me as I walked into the room. He smiled, the same kind of smile I had seen a long time before on his mother's face, when she was that age, the age of innocence. Nancy began explaining, and I stopped her. I told her I understood everything. As I stared at Henry Lee, I remembered that during the night I had used the words, my people, our people. I meant them. The denial had been lifted from my spirit. It was tragic that it had taken Cheryl's death to bring me to accept my identity. But no, Cheryl had once said, all life dies to give new life. Cheryl had died, but for Henry Lee and me, there would be a tomorrow, and it would be better. I would strive for it, for my sister and her son, for my parents, for my people.